First things first, we start with a dua. And I'd like to call upon Sheikh Ansar Jahadeen from the Imam of the Bosman Masjid. I've had the privilege of being in the congregation with you, Imam, on many, many occasions. So it's wonderful to see you once again leading from the front with a dua. Alhamdulillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك فلك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت عنا ولك الحمد بعد الرضا ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم اجمعنا جميعا على الحق والهدى ولا تفرق بيننا في مقامنا هذا إلا بذنب مغفور وعملا صالحا مقبول وتجارة لن تبور يا نور النور أخرجنا يا الله من الظلمات إلى النور ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
First things first, I want to call upon Harun Kala, who's a trustee of Awqaf. Now we all know that Awqaf, Harun, I was at the launch of Awqaf. I don't know how many years ago it was. 10 years, 15 years maybe? Khalima Matlandi was the deputy president at the time. Yeah, okay, but that very, very big public event of about a few thousand people, I'm very privileged to be one of the program directors at the time. And all I can tell you now is this. I speak very strongly about South Africa being a champion nation. I speak about, how do you build champion South Africa? And I premise it on saying champion people build champion nations. Awqaf has seriously invested in building the type of leadership that this country needs. I have no doubt about that. Really no doubt about it. So when you talk about building the champion people to build the champion nation, you're also talking about building champion institutions. And there is no doubt in my mind that Awqaf South Africa is a champion institution. It really is. So with that in mind, it gives me the great privilege to call upon one of the trustees of this champion institution, Harun Kala. If you can come up, please.
What this book reminds us of unequivocally is that even under the harshest conditions, purpose endures. The figures it chronicles arrived in exile, stripped of freedom and status, yet they did not abandon their mission. Unable to liberate physically, they liberated minds and souls. And amongst them, one of our greatest people in South Africa, you can see the influence they've had on Mandela itself. His calmness, his humility. I'm not saying that he didn't have it, but I'm sure that there was a contribution from this great saint at Robben Island. Tuan Guru, exiled at 79, established one of the Cape's earliest multiracial institutions of learning, an act of resistance that challenged the very foundations of colonial hierarchy. Figures like Pai Scapi built bridges across cultures, blending healing traditions and affirming shared humanity. Right, guys, I've deleted the last part of that. I thought we need to come to the chase. I don't want to take Shafiq Morton's time, but Shafiq, thanks for honoring us here, and thanks to everybody for being part of this launch. And I know that this launch was an hour, so Shafiq, I'm going to call you up to. I'm going to let our MC call you up to address us, and maybe you want to introduce Shafiq in any way. Jazakallah for this opportunity, and please, I urge you to buy a few copies and give one to a friend. And we look forward to you doing what our brother has asked you. May Allah bless you, and thanks for attending our function this morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Just imagine if Shafiq was not a broadcaster. Just imagine if he was not in the media space. Just imagine if he was not an author. Just imagine if he was not invested in putting the spotlight on Muslim leadership in South Africa, in highlighting these Muslim champions. Just imagine if he felt that maybe his time was better served with respect, making and selling consistership. You get my point. I mean, he could have done that, but he's done something, I think, far more profound, far more impactful. So if you can come up here, because I want you to come up with everybody applauding you, because we need to acknowledge you, Shafiq. And as he walks up, please give him the applause that he deserves.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli alayhi wa salim. To all of our honored guests, there isn't time to mention everybody's names, but it's greatly appreciated that you are here today. To the kind words from Haroon, no pressure. And the reason I'm busy is actually because of him. And thank you very much to Ashraf for all the beautiful words of encouragement. It's quite a challenge because in essence I have to try and squeeze 400 years into about 20 minutes. So let's try and see how far we can get. Some people ask me, why is it called the Circle of the Saints? Why in Cape Town do people call about the circle? It's kind of mythological, and the source of this is according to Tuan Guru, and it's reported that he said towards the end of his life to the people at the Cape, the slaves, because remember, in those days, the 99.9% of the slave population was the slaves were Muslims, Muslims were slaves, and about 1% were what they would call free blacks who were liberated. Apparently Tuan Guru said, and this is reported in a Cape Times report of 1929, he said, "Do not fear, my children," I'm paraphrasing, "serve your masters, because one day you will be free and you will be protected by a circle of karamats or karamats at the Cape, and they will keep you free from pestilence, flood and famine." I've paraphrased what he said, but I'm sure we can understand the meaning of what Tuan Guru was trying to say. And before I get into the nitty-gritty of history, the biggest role that all of these shuyukh played was they were comforters. But they were much more than that, because they came with the tradition of tasawwuf. And I will explain that all of these people were Sufi sheikhs. And the ethos that they represented, and I'm going to quickly quote from the Chastia. I see there's a Chasti color here. And tasawwuf, Sufism, is all about color.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's wonderful to be here, and you know, I had to be here when Hasnain phoned me a few days ago and asked me, can I be a respondent to Shafiq? And I said, you know what, whatever I've got tied up, I've got to be a respondent, because Shafiq has been so gracious to me over the years. We've been involved in a number of projects, and he's always been kind. He's always said yes. And we know how community projects sometimes work. You don't always get what you want, but he's never complained. And I said, no, I need to go and, you know, honor him. And he's imbibed, I think, many of the Sufi qualities of the Sufis that he so loves and that he studies. In his case, of course, we'll call him a Sufi. I hope you don't mind that. I've coined that now for you, Shafiq, but we'll do that. And I'd also like to thank Okaf, Mr. Kala. I mean, this is wonderful, absolutely wonderful work, because I really like that point, you know, that you've made, that the people who came here didn't simply, weren't simply victims of colonialism. They were, and I wouldn't say just sharers of ideas, they were sharers they, in a sense, showed people other ways of living, other ways of approaching reality, which totally undermine colonial reality. And we see that today. And also to the Cape Mazar Society, I don't know if we have any representatives here today of the Cape Mazar Society, but they for many, many years have been doing wonderful work in preserving the Circle of Saints, and which of course Shafiq writes about in his book.